With WWE wanting to get rid of the indies and Bryan Danielson revealing his last text exchange with Brodie Lee, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for November 4th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Despite being a multiple-time tag team champion and a former US champ, Cesaro has never won a world title in WWE. This is surprising to many, including Big E, as he told Sportsnet. I thought with the draft beforehand, a guy like Cesaro, a guy like Kevin Owens, you didn't really know where guys were headed. But Cesaro has never been a world champion, which is kind of hard to fathom. That's hard to believe. I can't speak highly enough about how incredible he is in the ring, not to mention an incredible human being. The man, as we all know, anyone who's paid any attention, you understand how incredible he is, and he's not slowing down at all. Just guys like that, guys that I think are extremely talented and haven't had these same opportunities. Cesaro had a chance in the main event earlier this year when he was feuding with Roman Reigns, but he fell short in winning the Universal Belt. After being on top of NXT for the longest time, Adam Cole now finds himself a part of AEW. On the Dork podcast, Cole explained how NXT and AEW are so successful. That roster was stacked. You had a lot of really talented dudes who were trying to make an impression and trying to show the world on the biggest stage they ever had how good they were. That created a really exciting atmosphere. The live audience that was there, I've said this before and I think it's a big reason why AEW is so successful. The people who buy a ticket to that show and show up, they want the show to be good. They go there with the intention of this show is going to rule, I can't wait to watch these matches. It creates this exciting atmosphere that not only creates this magic within the audience, but it does create a different feeling with the wrestlers as well. That's how the magic happens in a lot of ways. With Cole previously stating that AEW winning the Wednesday night ratings war caused NXT 2.0, it remains to be seen how these brands fare going forward. Speaking of AEW, the Warnermedia general manager talked about the company's success with Deadline, saying, "We have AEW, which continues to be such an overperformer. This challenger brand of a wrestling asset has now become one of the biggest shows in cable, which is incredible for us. We obviously started a completely new night and new show on Friday nights with Rampage, and we have Roads to the Top, which is a different asset, but when you think of it in totality, TNT really is something for everyone, and that's the thing that we wanted to be able to deliver for those people that still come to us each and every day. If someone comes to us to watch Shawshank Redemption, they stay for Snowpiercer, Animal Kingdom, or sports. They come to us for some of the greatest content, first-in-class content on basic cable." Following their rise in popularity on the reality series Total Divas, Nikki and Brie Bella would get their own spin-off Total Bellas. After John Cena left the series, the E! Network decided not to renew it, since it was already in line for cancellation. On their podcast, the Bellas mentioned why they ended the show. "I could film 24/7. I love it. Reality TV doesn't bug me and people judging me doesn't bug me. It's when it comes to my family. When I left Connecticut, I felt like this was my chance to be done with that because I love our life in Napa and I wanted more private. There's something inside me that kept feeling like it wasn't right. We always commit 110% to something, and if we start this new chapter with someone else on a new network or digital platform and have to give them everything, which means my family, I don't know if I'm ready. I think I'm done with that." As you probably know, actor Alec Baldwin fired a gun on set and ended up killing a director, Helena Hutchins. This led to many in Hollywood saying they would no longer use real guns on sets, including The Rock, as he told Variety. "I can't speak for anyone else, but I can tell you without an absence of clarity here that any movie that we have moving forward with $7 Promotions, any movie, any television show, or anything we do or produce, we won't use real guns at all. We're going to switch over to rubber guns, and we're going to take care of it in post. We're not going to worry about the dollars. We won't worry about what it costs." AEW Rampage saw a massive spike in viewers during the debut of CM Punk. Since then, ratings have plummeted for the show, as Eric Bischoff took to his 83 Weeks podcast to give Tony Khan advice for improving this situation. You need to build episodic TV. Just because backstage you're calling whatever it is you're involved in a storyline doesn't mean it's structured as such. It doesn't mean it's building anticipation, not the way it could or should. That's what it's going to take. That's the one thing within Tony's control on a Friday night. You can't constantly create surprises because it's a taped show. It's in a horrible time slot. It just is what it is. The only thing that's in Tony's control is to capitalize on the episodic nature of what makes wrestling work. Wrestling has always worked best when it was extremely episodic, and it was extremely episodic because these stories were well constructed and structured. They built in a predictable manner that allowed you to build and promote your show. That's what episodic TV does. But when you're just putting up really cool matches each and every week for a really cool match sake, that's not episodic TV, and you're not building your audience as a result. With WWE firing several office officials this week, according to Fightful, PW Insider has now reported that 15-year company veteran Stan Stansky, Senior VP of Creative Services, was fired. Stansky's departure has been quite the shock as word has traveled around the company this evening. One person described Stansky's departure as the ultimate proof no one is safe, and yet another reminder this isn't the same company as it was a year ago. Being with them since 2006, Stansky mentions his WWE duties on his LinkedIn profile, writing, responsible for defining and managing the overall creative look of WWE across all platforms, including but not limited to the graphic identity and branding, photography, on and off air affiliate marketing of pay-per-view events, consumer and trade advertising, consumer products, sponsorship and retail promotions, live event and tour promotion, fan events, talent brand development, corporate communication, and WWE studios. With him previously stating that he would love to face Goldberg, WWE Champion Big E talked to Sportsnet about wanting to face him in Saudi Arabia. We've been in a top act in many ways with the New Day, but there are so many singles matchups out there that are fresh for me. I was trying to make some noise for this Goldberg match at Crown Jewel, but that clearly didn't happen. It would have been really full circle. He was my childhood hero and idol, and I've spoken effusively about that. At Crown Jewel, Big E was able to retain his title while Goldberg got a dominant win over former champion Bobby Lashley. With Goldberg reportedly having one more match left on his contract, a title bout against Big E seems likely. Some in the wrestling world like Jim Cornette and Eric Bischoff have been critical of AEW's use of CM Punk since his debut. On the Keeping It 100 podcast, Disco Inferno added to this, saying Punk's stock is dropping. I'm just saying Kenny Omega should beat Adam Page, then call out CM Punk. Punk's stock is dropping, and you wouldn't want to work with him when he's a penny stock. You want to work with him when his stocks are worth something. I would absolutely have Punk versus Omega as the feud that starts immediately the night of going forward after he beats Page if you want to heat up Punk. And if Punk just keeps on facing the rest of these guys, the numbers do not lie. Everybody is noticing this. The numbers stink. And then you guys are talking about the demos, everything. The ratings have gone. You were botching Punk. That is an absolute story that the wrestling media should be talking about collectively right now, but they're not. And I am like, it is because they cover for AEW in their booking sometimes. We agree this has been lame. So Eric is absolutely right. With him currently involved in a feud with Eddie Kingston, Punk is expected to face him on November 13th for Full Gear. The independent wrestling scene has given rise to many high-profile stars outside of WWE. Despite this, Doc Gallows claimed on an episode of the MCW cast that the company wanted to get rid of the indies. I did hear this. WWE, I know at one point, there was a philosophy which I hated hearing when I was working. They basically wanted to get rid of all the indies and have everything self-produced by them. And this was before AEW had officially launched. And that was kind of the plan. Hey, we're trying to buy Ring of Honor, for example. I don't know if that's one of them, but they probably tried. But luckily, these people held up and said no, and then AEW happens, and now we're seeing it's fruitful for everybody, which is really important because if it's a monopoly, we all know it's boring. This is the lifeblood and the grassroots of what pro wrestling is. It needs it for its function. Where do you get people from? Grab them and make them. We want them. They're all going to be the same. I remember when I first signed to a couple years before that, everybody that came out of OVW looked like they were ready to step on bodybuilding stage. They all wore trunks. They all had the same haircut. It was like a meat factory. Darby Allin would have never had a job. We would have never known where Darby Allin is. He never would have gotten a chance. Following Dynamite last night, AEW President Tony Khan came out to the ring to address the crowd regarding the situation with Moxley going into rehab. As he said, this was by far the second hardest week of ever getting through the show. Nothing will ever compare to last December. We miss you, Brodie. That was by far the hardest week of being in the wrestling business. I've only been in the wrestling business a few years, but that was by far the hardest week of it, and this was by far number 2. Nothing can compare to this. I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for being here. I appreciate all of you. If there's one person we're all thinking about right now, and we know who it is. Bryan Danielson was then given the mic as he sent a message to Moxley and mentioned his last text exchange with the late Brodie Lee. Tony just talked about 2 of my really good friends. One I haven't gotten the chance to talk about publicly very much, but the last text I sent to Brodie was this: "Hey man, how's life?" And do you know what he said? He texted me back, "It's fucking awesome." And another guy I texted was the second guy he mentioned, and I might not be here if it weren't for him, because I watched on AEW show and I saw all these men and women doing these incredible things, and I didn't know if I could keep up, and I said that to Moxley. Do you know what he said? He said, "You're Bryan Danielson. You're the best in the world. I'm not telling you you should come here, but don't for a second think you can't. So John, get better soon. We miss you and we love you." Former WWE star Kalisto, now going by Samurai del Sol, made his AEW debut in a AAA tag title match against FTR last night, with him posting a tweet thanking the late Brodie Lee prior to his match, writing, "Prayed and talked to John before my match. Thank you for showing me your home and giving me the strength and energy I need today. Forever, you're in my heart." This led to Chris Jericho pointing out that Del Sol had spelt the name wrong. Many on social media were confused by Jericho pointing this out, as Del Sol responded by saying his emotions got the best of him. With WWE reportedly firing an executive and other officials, it seems there could be worse things to come for those in the company. WrestleVotes reported, I have unconfirmed names, but hearing WWE may be releasing a small number of talent today. Another uneasy day in Stamford. In August, it was reported that the cycle of WWE releases was going to become a regular occurrence. With this current rumor unconfirmed, we'll have to see if any talent get let go today. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.